Nkechi, Jennifer, before you accept that wedding ring from that African man, watch this video. Or if your daughter or sister is about to accept a ring from a man, watch this video. Far away in Kenya, in Africa, Carol met and fell in love with this very good-looking man from Guinea. Few months into their relationship, the man whom Carol's family barely knew knocked on the door. He will tell Carol's parents that he wants to marry Carol. He will offer 10 kola nuts, saying that it is the marriage rights where he came from, and they accepted it. They both had 3 kids, and when the man wanted to build a home for the family, he couldn't because he was an illegal immigrant in Kenya. So they decided to move to Guinea, where the man came from, to start a new life where they can build their own house and live freely without any restriction. The man was a very, very smart man. He was able to join the politics in Guinea and also opened up a transportation business, which started booming. Life was good. Carol had a 3rd son, and according to the traditional rites of Guinea, when you circumcise a child, you keep the child inside the house for like a month, after which you bring the child out so the whole world would see. Rich people usually celebrate it like in a big way. So they decided to throw a party for 3 days. And this was going to be like a party that is going to go on and on and on, day and night, for a complete 3 days. People were coming and eating and having fun and having merry. On the 3rd night, which is supposed to be the last night of the party, Carol was very tired, so she decided to go upstairs and go to bed. The party was celebrated in the man's compound. Carol barely fell asleep when the husband walked in and opened the door while Carol was sleeping. He was looking very worried. The man went to Carol's side and he sat beside Carol and started talking. Carol was already concerned, wondering why her husband was so worried. The man would tell Carol that his late grandmother passed on a traditional practice to him, and according to his uncle, that he is supposed to perform those practices tonight. Otherwise, someone between him or her or the kids, one of them would lose their life. Dude, Carol was shocked, and he went on. He said, I have to sacrifice a goat tonight. Otherwise, this ill wind will not pass us by. So when Carol heard the goat, he had a breath of relief, knowing at least it is just a goat, you know. The man didn't stop there. He said, when this goat is sacrificed, someone is going to lose his life. But the good thing is that one of my uncles have actually opted to bring himself out to be the one that will die when this goat is sacrificed. Carol was frozen, but the man went on. He said that we also need a piece of gold together with the goat for the sacrifice. But the problem is, because we have to do the sacrifice this night, there is no place to get a gold. And because of that, since we have golden rings, we are going to use our rings as a gold for the sacrifice. After much persuasion by the man, she gave in, and the husband promised that if anything bad is going to come out of this, let it affect him and not Carol or the kids. But then Carol went ahead to give the ring to the husband, but before she did something very, very significant. She picked up the ring and picked up a thread, got the ring, his ring, and used a thread and tied them 7 times. And each time she was tying those rings, she was making some prayers, but she did it 7 times. After which, crying and reluctantly, she gave the ring to her husband. Now, if you like content like this, kindly follow my channel. I deliver every weekend. I usually bring up true events told in story formats just for us to learn and grow and be better people. Now back to Carol and husband. As soon as Carol gave the ring to the husband, the uncles walked up the stairs and knocked on the door, and then the husband walked to the door and handed the rings to the uncles. And the uncles insisted that the husband joins them to the sacrifice. And this was very late in the night, and Carol wasn't very up for this. And then they walked down the stairs and into the dark. Carol, feeling gloomy, went back to bed, and she barely slept, and then she woke up feeling dizzy, sweaty, and flushed. And while she was still wondering what was going on with her, she heard a loud scream. Her son was calling her from downstairs. And immediately she picked up her clothes, wore it, and then rushed downstairs. She was very, very surprised to see her husband, who left very healthy, being carried in by the uncles into the living room, looking almost lifeless. The husband was looking very pale and almost couldn't say a word. She would ask a simple question, what is going on? And the uncles wouldn't say a word. She asked what happened to the sacrifice ground, but none of them said anything. And she was also surprised that they would bring him into the house instead of taking him to the hospital, because she needs some medical attention. And what struck her too was the fact that she was also feeling drained and flushed, and then her husband is almost looking lifeless. She tried to contact the emergency, but they almost frustrated her plans to call the doctors. But after back and forth, she was surprised what they were doing. But after some back and forth, they finally allowed her to call the doctor, and they took this man to the hospital. On getting to the hospital, the doctor ran a series of tests, came back and did more tests. He told the woman that he could not find anything medically wrong with this man, and that he does not know why this man is sick. According to Carol, she said it felt like someone was draining her husband's blood somewhere remote. When Carol updated her husband on what was going on with the medical report, the husband was barely able to tell Carol this. He told Carol, just in case I die, please take my kids to Kenya, far away from my family. Don't let them come close anymore. And if my uncles bring back our wedding ring, please do not take them. And few minutes after this, the man drew his last breath. Few months after the burial, the uncle that claimed that he was going to sacrifice himself instead of any other person walked in with the rings. He tried to give the rings back to the woman rejected. And then he went ahead and said that while his husband was alive, that he was performing a sacrifice or a ritual that he didn't complete before he died. And because he has a son who is known as Muhammad, the first son, who is barely 13 years old, that his son is supposed to carry on this ritual. Carol bluntly said no to this. Carol will later find out that the uncles confiscated her husband's documents that are connected to his property. They also instructed Carol to marry one of her husband's brothers. When the little boy Muhammad saw all this, he knew that something is amiss. That was when Muhammad told mom, Carol, that the night when dad went for the sacrifice, that he, Muhammad, actually walked out with his dad to the sacrifice ground. And he said that during the sacrifice, they picked up the wedding rings and put it in the mouth of the goat and gave a knife to his late dad and told his late dad to the goat until the goat draws its last breath. The man obliged and he went on until that happened. And then after that, the man started having issues, which led to his death. On hearing this, Carol wouldn't take it anymore. The next day, she escaped with her children back to Kenya. Now you know, make your investigations properly before you accept that wedding ring. And then, my question is, what is it about blood? Whether you're a Christian, Muslim, a traditionalist, or whatsoever, what is it about the blood and restitution of sin? Can someone explain? If you know, please type on the comment section. Let's talk about it. And remember to share to your friends and also your enemies.